Brigadier General Qimar Hashemi, a senior figure in Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, was killed in Aleppo during a major rebel offensive in northwest Syria. His death marks a significant blow to Iran's involvement in the region, reflecting the high stakes of the conflict as Tehran remains a critical backer of President Bashar al-Assad's government. The ongoing escalation highlights the increasing volatility of the Syrian war, with multiple actors vying for control over key territories. The insurgent attack, led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham and allied factions, resulted in the capture of several towns and villages, making it one of the most extensive rebel offensives in years. Strategic areas near Nabal and Zura, known for their Hezbollah presence, were targeted, along with the Al Narab airport, which houses pro-Iranian militias. These gains demonstrated the rebels' intent to disrupt government supply lines and weaken its defensive capabilities, challenging the stability of Assad's forces. In retaliation, Russian and Syrian warplanes launched extensive airstrikes, targeting rebel-controlled areas and newly captured positions. These strikes caused significant destruction, with reports from the White Helmet stating that 16 civilians were killed in Atareb when residential areas were hit. The closure of major routes, including the Aleppo-Damascus highway, has further deepened the humanitarian crisis, leaving displaced civilians struggling to access aid. Rebel commanders justified their offensive as a countermeasure to weeks of intensified Syrian and Russian airstrikes that targeted opposition-held regions. Their actions were described as both retaliatory and preventive, aiming to hinder a Syrian military buildup near the front lines. This escalation has strained the 2020 ceasefire brokered by Russia and Turkey, raising fears of prolonged hostilities in the region. Iran's military role in Syria has come under renewed scrutiny following General Hashemi's death. Tehran has consistently provided Assad's forces with IRGC advisors and Shiite militias, which have become crucial in the government's operations. These militias, however, are frequently targeted by rebels and Israeli forces, further complicating Iran's position. Hashemi's death could potentially lead to a stronger Iranian response, escalating tensions further. The violence has exacerbated the humanitarian situation in northwest Syria, where millions of civilians depend on aid. The United Nations has urged all parties to halt hostilities to prevent further suffering. However, continued airstrikes and ground offensives threaten to displace more families and disrupt humanitarian relief efforts, creating an even more dire crisis. Russia's intensified air campaign has drawn criticism for its indiscriminate targeting of civilian areas, adding to its controversial role in the Syrian conflict. Meanwhile, Turkey has remained cautious, avoiding direct intervention despite its backing of opposition groups. Analysts suggest Ankara may act if the conflict destabilizes its border regions or undermines its strategic interests. With no signs of de-escalation, the region remains a flashpoint for further conflict, deepening the suffering of Syria's war-torn population.